So I'm walking around my studio the other day and I'm looking at the resin printers and I'm like, you know what, that's it. I'm not going to do resin printer reviews anymore. I have like 6 of them. They're like full of resin or half filled with resin. I'm in the middle of testing them and I've broken prints all over the place. Then I got an email from a company called POCreate, which I have never heard of and you have never heard of either because they're new, but they're not new really. They're kind of old. Okay, let me explain that. They say to me, hey, do you want to review the HALOT X1 printer? And I'm like, wait a second, I know the HALOT line. The HALOT line is made by Creality, not POCreate. What's going on here? So it turns out that Creality has spun off the HALOT line and the founder of Creality and the founder of this company is the same guy. So now the HALOT printer line is going to be moving over to POCreate. And it shows up and I open it up and I'm looking at the features. I'm like, oh my God, this is like a really cool printer. This printer is sort of groundbreaking. Traditional resin printer has a tank on the bottom with a light source underneath it and the print head goes down into the tank. It exposes, print head comes up a little bit, it repeats that. That's one of the reasons why resin printing sucks. What they've done here instead, and this sounds crazy, is that the tank and the light source move up to the print head and the print head stays in one place. Crazy, right? Normally to take a tank off or put it on, you've got those screws with the little knobby bits and they always hurt my finger and I hate them. It's one of the things you have to deal with when it comes to resin printing, but check this out. Sometimes I see things when I'm reviewing them and I'm like, why did it take so long for this to happen? And this is one of them. Now you just simply lift the tray out of here and here's the light source. Clean the tray out, do whatever you want, put the tray back in. If it's in, it can only go in correctly. They latch close. Frickin' brilliant. But here's the craziest part. What is going on here? Because a print bed should be flat, and this print bed is decidedly not flat. However, when you turn it like this and it's in the printer, it's flat. So what they did here is, you know how ice cube trays are kind of flexy? So what they've done here is a very similar thing. You hold this and you move these 2 handles and it flexes the plate and your print comes off. You don't have to scrape it. Sometimes I'm scraping it and I shoot the print all the way across the studio, or I've gone and I've tried to get it off with the scraper and the print cracks because the print is delicate and I've just wasted hours of printing and I have to print again. I hate doing that. This is supposed to keep you from doing that. And it simply slides in, that's it. One of the things that this also has that they didn't send me is an additional unit for the resin, which autofills the resin into the tank and lets you know if the resin is low. The cool thing is that it uses RFID tags so that if you're using Creality's resin, it knows what resin it is and it can set all the preferences directly to that resin. Okay, the other great thing is that the screen is up here on top of the printer. Now, I don't know what they're going to do when they get a tall printer. My guess is that they'll have the screen like on the front sort of angled like that. But the great thing is that when you're working with a screen all the way down here, the angle is often not correct. I find myself doing this a lot, trying to do the settings on the printer, but now I can just look right at the settings. On the top of the LED screen, there is also a printer jack, like the kind you would have on a paper printer. Inside, this thing has a 10.1 inch 16K mono LCD screen with a pixel size of just 14 by 19 microns. Okay, so in a resin printer, the smaller the pixel size on the LCD screen, the higher resolution. The LCD screen is supposed to be high powered as well. It says that it has, and I hope I'm saying this right, a 6,000 microwatt per square centimeter light source. Let me know in the comments below if I just screwed that up. In a lot of 3D resin prints, the resolution falls off towards the edges because the light is mostly in the center of the screen. They say that their system has great light all the way edge to edge, which means you're not going to get a drop in resolution depending on where the thing in your printer is sitting on the plate. Oh yeah, so also it has this zone lighting exposure system that they say has 92 discrete light zones. So the cool thing about that is that the more you use an LCD screen, the more likely it is to wear out. So by dividing the screen up into 92 different areas that can light up, it only has to light up the area where your print is. And the great thing is it'll also let you know to move the prints around so that you can light up different areas and extend the life of your screen. They also ship it with a 3-month license for Chitubox Pro, which I like a lot. This has one of my favorite features, and I know it's a little thing, but this is a big thing for me. It's got a flip-up lid, and they were thoughtful enough to put a little handle here to flip it up. While I'm talking about handles, they're also thoughtful enough to put a little handle here on both sides so you can actually pick this printer up. Okay, so I'm going to take this thing down to my workshop. I'm going to start going through setting it up. I'm going to run through some prints. Then I'm going to come back and talk to you about the experience of printing and show you some of the examples. Now I'm so glad there's handles. So I got to this point with resin printers where I was really like mentally done with resin printers. I like testing them, but you take them out of the box and you get them ready and there's always some great thing that's going to happen with them. And yeah, so maybe the first couple of times the prints work really well, but then after that you print something and it's failed. Either like the print bed's got part of it on it or nothing on it, and then everything is stuck to the tank and it's a pain. And I get the HALOT X1 and I don't think it's a perfect printer, but I really do think that they've done a couple of smart things here. So far, I've really liked the system where the LCD screen comes up and then it builds slowly downwards. I think that's a great idea. I really like the twisty plate. It is not always super easy. It's not just like an ice cube tray where you always pop it and stuff just comes right off. Had to scrape it a lot less than I normally do, and sometimes it does just pop right off and you have a piece that you haven't had to like chisel off of the bed. I really like that a lot. This print is just one piece, and I find on this one a lot that these little details here can really be problematic for the printers. And so you can see here though that the detail is really good looking. Nothing broke. There's no like little chips in the pieces. The little tail pieces here are great. So this is another one of my favorite pieces. It's a rider on a warhorse. I like in this piece you can see the bumps on the face of this rider's mask. I hope this is a mask and he's not just a person with spikes in his face. I like all the little details on the horse. I like the way these curve without breaking. I think that this came out fantastic. Now that said, I have not found a lot of models that are not capable of being printed equally well on say an 8K or 12K or 16K printer. There's a lot of confusion about the resolution of printers. If you have a 16K really small print surface, and then you take 16K and you make it on a big print surface, it's actually less detail than if you were printing on the smaller one. And that's because the number of points across it don't change as it gets bigger, they just get spaced farther apart. In my mind, the key to a good printer these days is whether or not it is easy to do the prints. And this printer, it is incredibly easy to do the prints. Is another one that I think really does a good job of just being easy enough to use to want to use it. And the HALOT X1 is one of those too. And I think that's because of the pedigree. This was Creality up until like 12 seconds ago when they spun off into another company. So you have all that engineering stuff. When you hear PioCrate, now you know that that has the backing of Creality and all the teams that used to work on those printers in a consumer level printer. I'd really wish that I had gotten the external tank system in order to fill the resin, but when I talked to the company, they said it wasn't really ready yet to ship to everybody and they didn't want to hold up the review. So if I get that, I will go back and do a quick video about just that tank system. But I feel like the heater in that tank and the auto-filling system would be terrific. That said, I printed these things and most of these prints in my garage, which was at night. The temperatures were dropping into the 50s and I would run prints overnight and they had no problem at all. At the end of a video, I always like to say, should you buy this? And I think if you're in the market for a resin printer, this is a fantastic resin printer, especially if you're a new person in resin 3D printing. To not have to think at all about the tank and the print plate and whether they're level or not, that is the difference between enjoyable printing or non-enjoyable printing. Little things like the LCD screen being up on the top, the USB connection being up on the top so it doesn't take up the side of the machine. And then there's the little things that I really like about it. You know, like a lot of the printers have the screen down here where it's hard to see and the USB port is on the side, so you can't put too many of these machines next to each other. That's solved by having the screen up on the top and the USB port up on the top as well. The one thing I had problems with during this review is their software, but give me a second on that. Every time you get a new resin printer to test something that just came out, there's always some problem with software. So when I tested the Anycubic S1, for example, the regular versions of Orca won't work with it, so they have their own spun-off software that does work with it, but then like Bamboo Slicer can't work with it, and it's like complicated, right? With this printer, they give you a free 3 months with ChadoBox Pro, which is great, although at the end of 3 months you have to pay for software to keep using the printer that you paid for. You can use their HALOT Box software, which is a new slicer, but it is right now as rudimentary of a slicer as you can possibly get. That said, you can print directly from the software to the printer wirelessly, which is fantastic, and it auto-discovers the printer. From the HALOT Box software, you simply can see the printer and add it. There is no configuration, zero configuration to get it working. Okay, so to circle back and round this up, I think that the HALOT X1 is a fantastic printer. In fact, it's going to be one of the couple of printers that I recommend for people getting into printing. The other major one right now is the Mars 5 Ultra, which I also think is a great beginner printer. I hope that they come out with more printers, wider, taller printers. I'd like to see more versatility, being able to do like big prints all at one time, but I'm sure those are coming now that PioCrate is a company. So should you buy this printer? It's about $500 right now on their Kickstarter page. If that's the amount of money that you have available for a resin printer, this is one of the very best, easiest to use groundbreaking, I'd even say groundbreaking resin 3D printers that I have seen. If you have any questions about the system, leave them in the comments below. More than happy to test things out and try them for you. And if you like these kind of real world reviews, please give me a like and subscribe, really helps out. For Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss, and as always, thanks so much for giving this a try.